All right, everybody. It's Bryan Hurd with the Evolution Project podcast, and I have my special friend, Sheila Peterson, here today. And
Thank you.
this is a special podcast in a lot of different ways today. One, because I just love Sheila. The funny thing is we'll get into this conversation more, but we only met probably 5 months ago, 4 months ago.
Yeah,
And I feel like I've known you forever.
I know.
And you're such a great person, and you're doing so many good things, and you've shared some tools and some frameworks that have absolutely had impact in changing my life and the way that I see things and communicate with people. And one of the purposes of this podcast is I just want to share my friends with people. That's really one of the things that I really want to do. So Sheila, starting off, give me a little intro on Sheila Peterson. Who is Sheila Peterson?
Wow, that's a big question. I don't
Yeah.
like to label myself in this way because it took a long time to break free of what I've been doing for 36 years.
Yeah.
And that is teaching fitness classes. I've been a personal trainer and a group fitness instructor. And I felt like that was my identity.
Mm-hmm.
And I got sick for a little while and wasn't able to teach classes. And that was really hard on me because it felt like I lost my identity. And
Mm-hmm.
so I don't like to put myself into labels, and I am a lifelong fitness instructor. Been doing it since 1990, which we're coming up on 2026.
Mm-hmm.
And most recently, I teach dialectical behavior therapy skills. Got
Mm-hmm.
involved with that about 4 years ago, and I've been doing it ever since, and I just do it out of my home.
Yeah, and like what a great transition, because that's actually how we met. We have a mutual friend. Her name is Heather. I always love to give shout outs like everybody's listening to this, right?
Yes, Heather.
So
We love
Heather, you've got two big fans over here in Utah. And Heather sends me a text message and she says, "You really need to reach out to my friend Sheila. I think you'd get along." And I think she sent you kind of maybe were we on the same text message?
I don't think so. I think she sent me one individually and just said, "You need to reach out to him." So
Yeah. And there wasn't really much background to it. It wasn't because it was just like, "You're two of my favorite humans. You guys should meet."
yeah, she did.
So I reach out to you, and then we have this good conversation on the phone, and then you're like, "Well, what are you up to?" And we end up deciding to meet up later that week and just sit down and catch up, right?
Mhm.
And I remember the first time that we sat down, one of my favorite sayings is the magician is doing the magic trick right in front of your hand, right in front of your face, right? So I sit down with you and we're sitting at this thing, and then we get talking and you're like, "Yeah, I've known Heather and this is how we know each other." And then you said, "I've been creating these cards and I wanted to show them to you. Do you have any of those cards close by?" I couldn't find
I
mine.
do. I do.
Yay.
You're
Okay.
talking these cards.
Yes. So it's like you lay out all these cards and you're like, "Why don't you pick a couple cards of just that like stand out to you, or like emotions you've been feeling lately?" And I'm literally like, "Sure. I've never
Okay.
started. I've never done this before at the beginning of meeting somebody. Why not?" And it was awesome. I think we only talked for maybe 45 minutes.
Mhm.
And it was it was a very authentic, real conversation. If anything, I felt like you were just listening to me. It was like I felt understood. I felt like somebody cared about me, and I felt like somebody gave me space to emote. And I even think I cried. I think I cried.
You maybe shed a tear.
Yeah, I maybe shed a tear, and I was like, "Where is this coming from?" I just wanted to say hi to this person. So maybe that's a good little segue into this thing called DBT. I think a lot of people maybe aren't familiar with it, but I feel like once you started to explain it to me, I understood. I feel like I see it a lot more prevalently now than I did
Mhm.
before. Maybe you
Yeah.
can like share a little bit about that.
DBT was created in the 80s by Marsha Linehan. She is a therapist and she struggles with mental illness herself.
Mm,
And she figured out that cognitive behavior therapy worked for some people, but not all. So she developed dialectical behavior therapy.
Mhm.
And basically, it's 4 modules. It starts with mindfulness, teaching people how to live more present in their body.
Mhm.
We, at some point in our lives, start living up here.
Yeah.
Like when you're a kid, you just move and say things and do things, and you don't really care what people think or say or anything about you. And then there's some point, and I don't know, it probably is different for each one of us, or it slowly happens. I don't know. We start living up here and we start believing all of our thoughts and worrying and ruminating up here instead of living down here and allowing ourselves to still be moved by emotion and experience emotions as a human being.
Yeah.
So I like to start with mindfulness and teaching people what mindfulness is and how to actually accomplish being mindful.
Mhm.
And then I go into emotional regulation, where I spend 2 sessions on teaching people how to regulate their emotions. We all have big emotions. They authentically arrive. We never know when they're going to arrive. And each one comes with an action urge. And so DBT teaches us how to decide if acting on the urges is going to be effective. So I have a handful of skills in that area.
So
And then
Sheila, I
I
gotta tell you, you have implanted words in my mind that when I hear them, it just triggers all these thoughts. One of my favorite words you use is big emotions. When we experience
Mm.
big emotions. And I remember at first when I heard that, I'm like, ah, this kind of sounds like, like hippie kind of a little bit, right? But the truth is like that was actually me kind of, in a certain extent, like protecting myself too, right? Because I totally identify with the cerebralness, like, and this container that I see stuff with. And so, one of the things is I know we're only 2 in, but it's like I love how these concepts stack
Mm.
upon one another as you
Mhm.
keep going. And you even used something in the beginning. You said you started to say you were describing yourself, and then you said and like whenever I hear and, I'm like, that's a connecting word. I love that. I can be both. Two things can exist at one time. So it's
Yes.
I'm so excited for people to get to hear these things because, and we'll go deeper, but I just wanted to tell you, when you hear these things, when you say those words, there are emotions and thoughts and things that come up in me just through going through your class.
Mm. Thank you. I'm glad that they resonate with you and that what they spark they spark a chemical reaction in your body because you're like, "Oh, I'm familiar with that and I know what it means and I've
Yes.
used it in my life and it works."
Yeah.
So, yes, I said but, and then I caught myself and used and because
Yeah.
I realized the word dialectical itself means that 2 things can hold true or more than 2 things, that it doesn't have to be so black and white thinking. It can be yes and. Have you seen it from this perspective? Have you looked at it this way? We're trying to have a win-win situation instead of one person being right and the other person being wrong. Because if
Yeah.
one person's right, it means somebody else is wrong. So then I go into interpersonal effectiveness, where we talk about how to easily ask for what we want and need and how to say no to other people's requests. Building skills on maintaining relationships even after having hard conversations. The 4th module is distress tolerance. We talk about how to survive a crisis without making it worse. A handful of other skills that help us to navigate regulating our own emotions. And my favorite part is going through a chain analysis where during the class time, I give a lot of personal examples of how I use DBT in my life and instances I could use DBT in my life. And it's a personal experience that takes you through a step by step of how you participated in problematic behavior and
Yeah.
how inserting certain skills at different places throughout the interaction would give a different outcome. That's my
And
favorite.
and I think that's what everybody's seeking. I mean, how many times have you talked to somebody when maybe they're at their wits' end, right? And they're using I call it definitive language. This always happens.
Hmm.
You never this, right?
Yes. Red flags.
Red flags.
We're not accepting reality how it is.
That's right. And the question I ask myself is like, does joy and happiness always exist, but I'm not fully allowing it because of my mindset? because of my emotional regulation around it.
Mm.
Because of right, and I love this. I love you're doing the curious face right now.
Good question.
You're
It's a
doing
good
good
question.
questions, Bryan.
Yeah.
And these are things I found myself in conversation with myself around. Like there's this analogy where they say, are there things? Is there frequencies that exist around you? And it's like, yeah, of course, right? That you can't hear. And it's like, yeah, I mean, think of a radio station, right?
Mhm.
And you take that to a level of emotional, right? Big emotions, and you think, well, do these things always exist? Does love always exist? Does joy
Yes.
always exist?
Yes. The answer is yes.
Yes, yes. And and I think something that I'd love for you kind of to share is, how did you find DBT, or did DBT find you? What is your journey? What is your path that you're like you're an ambassador of this message. So where did tell me more about that.
We were first introduced to DBT back in 2021.
Mhm.
Our daughter, our oldest daughter, who's now 24, she entered a treatment center for anxiety and depression. And when we were searching for treatment centers, most treatment centers are for some kind of drug abuse. It's really hard to find a facility that specifically is for mental struggles. And a friend of ours is a psychiatrist, and he said, for sure, find one that has DBT. So we started to research DBT and dive in. And we found a facility that she spent 2 months in. And part of their program was asking parents to take classes on a regular basis through that facility so that we could learn the language and the skills so that when our child came back home, we knew what she was learning so that we could help support that.
Mhm.
And I thought they were amazing skills, amazing classes to engage in. I didn't like the style in which the instructor delivered the messages. So I thought, you know what? I want to do this. I'm passionate about this. I called the company directly, and it said on their website that you had to be a medical practitioner. And so I called them directly and said, I'm not that. I've been a fitness instructor my entire life, but I want to do this. And so I've noticed now that they changed their website and it says specifically for coaches now too.
Mm.
So I got certified to teach the classes. And then in the fall of 2021, I started teaching them at a fitness studio that I worked. And I thought that, 2 people signed up, and I was really disappointed because I did a ton of advertising and talking about it. And I was like on fire, so passionate. And I thought, you know what, 2 people, I'm going to change 2 people's life. I'm going to do this anyway. And when I showed up, it still makes me emotional. There were 10 people sitting in that room. There were 10 people ready to hear a message that saved our daughter's life.
Ah, so beautiful.
Thank you.
And that was 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
It was 4 years ago. Yeah. I started teaching October of 2021. And now I just teach them out of my home because people are coming out of the woodwork. And so we might as well have a space it feels like home.
Yeah. That actually, I don't know if you remember this. There was one, I love the way every class, Liz starts every class with a mindfulness practice, and she walks us through a meditation that is very much somatic. Like you sit there and she's using senses and having you to connect to stuff, and you got your eyes closed. And then you have this like opportunity to give voice to and share if you want to anything. And it was actually one of my favorite parts. And one of the things I'm actually trying to take when I facilitate things, like there is no better way to start a class than a mindfulness exercise.
Right.
It drops everybody right in.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, there's so many things I've just really enjoyed about the classes. But the dynamic of the class was such an unexpected gift. You are a fantastic facilitator, and I still have my cards. And as you were talking, I was like, okay, we're gonna just kind of check these things out. So something I think that's really worthwhile to point out is, don't step over this. Sheila took all the practices and methodologies and she gives credit to, I can't remember their name, but
Marcia Linehan, and I created it with a friend who is Her name's Katie, and she's Wise Mind Mom, and together we created it.
And so it's like, and to me, this is what I love. I love when we can take truths and then put it into modalities like that might connect with more people, and then bring in addition to, and like doing the and,
Yeah.
right? And
Uh-huh.
so there's these cards here, and the class each week you're going through a section and you've got these cards, and they're just, it's so easy and handy. It's not like this big heavy book, which there is a big heavy book.
Yes, this is the DBT Quick Deck, which
Yes.
has all of the skills in just like a flashcard form.
Yes.
Because the book is huge and it was 350 pages long, and I taught out of it for probably 2 years
Yeah.
until I got enough feedback that people were very confused and didn't know how to use the book. I'll be honest with you, I'll give her credit. I think it's brilliant. It just takes time to sit down and understand how the format works. It's just that people wanted something quicker. People wanted something at their fingertips, and so we created this really
Yeah.
nice little deck.
And
And then
and
these bad boys.
yes, those are the secret weapon magic tricks. I mean, um, Sheila and I got a group of people together, and we met at a park, and we all brought our chairs, and Sheila led people through an exercise. And what was so fun for me is I knew about half the people, and I did not know it was the first time I met the other half of that group. And, we're picking our cards. And one of my favorite things that you did is we picked our cards, we explained them, and then you said, I want you to go back and I want to challenge you to pick a card that you were going to pick, but it was too
Mhm.
much of an edge for you. And you were hesitant to share it in that moment. And I was like, oh boy. And so I went and grabbed the card that was absolutely an edge for me. And then I found myself talking with this woman, and I can't remember her name, but she was beautiful
Her
inside.
name's Brenda, and she still asks about you.
Dude, I love her. I mean, and this is the thing, the connection I felt with Brenda that night when we were sitting down, and she shared some things with me that I don't know if she shared with many people ever, right?
Mm.
And it created this space that she spoke truth. I wasn't trying to fix her. I wasn't trying to coach her. I wasn't trying to change anything in her reality. I simply listened. And
Mm.
then at the end, we had the best hug. And I remember thinking, man, with the things you're struggling with right now, because she felt lonely. That was what she shared.
Mm.
And I was like, somebody is missing out on an incredible, amazing person right now.
You know what's so interesting about that exercise?
Yeah.
If we all walked around with a couple different cards on our forehead,
Yeah.
and we all walked around like this, it would be so much easier if everyone did it. It'd be so
Yeah.
much easier to connect with human beings because we all put on this face that seems like, we all can put on this face. And underneath, we're feeling all these things. And the quickest way to connect with a human being is to look them in their eye and tell them, hey, I'm feeling inadequate. I'm feeling surprised and I'm feeling confused. And to get real, what's behind those feelings?
Mm.
Because we talk about the five senses. You said the mindfulness. I bring everyone into the present moment using the five senses.
Mhm.
And sometimes when you express to someone in words, hey, I'm feeling this and this is why I'm feeling it, and your own ears hear what you're saying, it's one of your five senses. We only can take in the world with our five senses. Maybe some people have six, maybe some have seven. Most of us have five that we take in the world with. When we can hear somebody expressing emotion to us, and when we're able to hear what's behind our own emotion, it helps us to process it. It helps us to realize, is it justified?
Mm.
Is the intensity in which I feel it, is that legit? And there's no way to connect quicker with another human being to tell them how you really feel and getting granular. I mean, I teach emotional fluency. I teach how to pinpoint. Anger is not just anger. Anger has so many layers to it. And understanding those layers and what's behind them and underneath them and on the sides of them and what's inside and outside of them is what helps us understand ourselves and understand others.
I just wanna say amen. Like, I almost wanna just be quiet for a minute because it's like, take that in, what Sheila just shared with us, like, stop for a minute and take that in. I'm gonna talk for men right now, but, I mean, we could say humans, okay?
And we could say humans.
And we could say humans.
Mhm. Mhm.
Men, uh, it's so interesting, you talk about men walking around with 3 cards. What are the 3 cards? "I'm fine, good, don't really tell me how you feel right now because I got a list of stuff I gotta do right now, and that's not where I'm at." And, I mean, I'd tell you, the joke that I have is we do this exercise, we call it it's not a joke, this actually really happens. Um, when we do the evolution project, there's this exercise we do called mask off. And you're standing in front of another man, but you're right in front of them, eye to eye, looking at each other. And there's this period you just don't talk, you just stare at somebody face to face. And then we say, okay, the men on the right side, um, can you're going to have 3 minutes or 4 minutes to express the emotions that came up when you just were staring at somebody else. And the most common things that men say when I say, what masks do you wear every day in your life that you have created identity around? Usually there's a mask of humor, right? That I'm the funny guy, that when things get too serious, I make a joke. The mask of I know what I'm doing. Right? The mask that, like, I'm the leader, I know what I'm doing, when the reality is oftentimes they're like, I'm not. And the mask that I'm okay all the time.
Yeah.
Right? And, in lieu of having places where humans are able to emote and say, this is what I am. I loved how you said that anger is not one emotion. It's not, oh, you're angry. Oh, I know exactly what that means. No, I know what it means to me in my context, but in that moment with that person, I actually don't know what that means.
Mhm.
Someone could be angry because they're sad,
Yeah.
you know? Who saw that one coming? And then somebody could be like, anger is the default emotion. And then somebody could say, anger is the emotion I don't touch with a 10-foot pole.
Mhm.
And all we did is just say one word, anger, you know? And I was curious, um, as you've gone through this DBT, I would say embodiment is what I'd like to, reference it towards.
Beautiful word.
What has Sheila Peterson learned in embodying this work from the most important people in your life to the people that you've impacted as you've gone out and continued to share this message? And I kind of feel like it's catching wildfire right now. I feel like, I remember you were in your class you just did, you're like, hey, I know this is last minute, but we're actually doing another class because the other one filled up and we've got some more people that want to do it, which is like great. So what do you know? What have you noticed in this embodiment of work and as you've taught it and lived it?
I'm a changed human being.
Mm.
I I I don't like to have regrets. I say regrets because it reminds me of the guy that got the tattoo. And it said regrets instead of regrets. I don't like to live my life having regrets. However, this would have been so powerful to have these skills as a kid. I mean, it's something that you can teach children before kindergarten. Like, wow, there's an energy change. Tell me what you're feeling inside. What does it feel like? Tell me, what is your heart doing? What is your breath doing? What is your body? Do you have butterflies in your tummy? You can teach kids to identify with emotions without telling them how they feel or whatever they're feeling, that they shouldn't feel that. Shouldn't is a red flag that you're not accepting reality how it is. There's something called the biosocial theory. And the bio is how you came to the earth, your DNA from your parents. The social was how you were raised. And those two things create how you show up in this world. You can either be a super emotional person, not so emotional, or somewhere in between. It's somewhere on this beautiful, this end or somewhere in between. And you can think of people that are very emotional people and think of people that are very stoic and never show any emotion. And at some point, like I said, when we first started speaking, is we stop trusting those emotions here
Mm,
and we start living here and we start believing every thought we have, and your thoughts are not facts. And we start questioning things and overthinking things and showing up in ways in our life that don't bring us that happiness and joy that you spoke about. So it has changed me because I didn't have these skills as a kid. I grew up in a very volatile household. And I know Marsha Linehan talks about anger being a core emotion.
mm,
Until about 2 years ago, anger for me was always a choice. If I didn't want to feel hurt, I would choose anger. If I didn't want to be embarrassed, I would choose anger because anger felt comfortable to me. I knew how to control the volume on anger. I didn't know how to deal with those other emotions. And so it has given my family a language to understand one another. One of my favorite skills is check the facts. When we feel an emotion, check the facts on what sparked that emotion in our bodies. Was it a thought? Because our thoughts are not facts. Was it someone said something and you misunderstood them? Did you hear a part of the conversation? If we can get more information around what we're actually feeling,
mhm,
that in and of itself helps regulate our emotions. As for and I mentioned earlier, it saved our daughter's life. She was in a very dark place, and she continues to use her DBT skills daily and teach them to others. And she's in the medical field, so she gets an opportunity to share these skills on a daily basis with others.
mm,
As for the people around me, it's so beautiful to see a shift in people. It's a 6-week course that I teach. And to see the lights go on, that they have the power to control their emotions instead of allowing the emotions to control them. I've seen so many lives change. I've been doing this for I'm going on 4.5 years right now.
mm.
And I've had over 200 people take my 6-week course. I do group sessions and I do private sessions. And there's like this, I remember this one man that I was teaching, I was doing privates for he and his wife. And the day it was like, you know how people say like a light bulb goes on? The day that he realized his thoughts were not facts was like that concept just totally changed how he showed up in life. Is just because I think it doesn't mean it's reality. I mean, we all know that even though we're talking and we're listening to each other right now, we have this voice inside our head that's constantly giving us a narrative. And sometimes it gets so old, that narrative. So it's so good to check the facts, ask the questions. Why do I think this way? Why do I feel this way?
I love one of the things that was really, I mean, so many things that were impactful for me, but one of the ones that stuck in my brain was, is this a reality to be accepted, or is this a like a situation or problem to be solved, essentially?
Exactly. Yes.
And let me just tell you, most men, right, they're walking around with a hammer
They
and
want to fix it.
they're looking for nails. Nailed, nail, nail.
Yes.
I'm good at this. I
I'm
am
married to a beautiful human that's really good at that too.
just, yeah. By the way, and he actually is an incredibly skillful craftsman. Like when I
Oh,
was over at your house, I remember I was in the kitchen. I was like, this is like super custom. And you're like, yeah, my husband. Anyway, master craftsman.
thank
But
you.
men, when we say, is this a reality to be accepted or a problem or situation to be solved, right?
Mhm.
I would tell you most men think everything is a problem or situation to be solved. Rarely do men think this is a reality to be accepted.
And you know what's surprising? It can be a little bit of both. It can be a reality to be accepted and a problem to be solved.
And so perfect. And I loved the power of the and, that two truths can exist at the same time and be
Mm.
equally true.
Yes.
And so I just want you to know, these are literally burned into my brain a little bit because I got the cards right here, but I was sitting here thinking like, oh, where did I put that in the card? And I thought, you know what? I'm not going to distract myself with it. I'm just going to say it the best I can, and Sheila will fill in the blanks.
Beautiful.
But the power of the and I'll tell you how I've seen it show up in my life since taking the class. The timing of the class was phenomenal for me. We were getting ready to go on a trip. I talked to you about this, to go pick up my son from serving a mission.
Mhm.
And one of my things that I was curious about was, what's it going to be like to be around my family for 3 weeks straight, nonstop, right? And I meant that in the most loving and caring and endearing way. And I also was like, I won't have work to distract me. We're 14 hours ahead of everybody. So when I'm asleep, that's probably when my phone or things will come in. But when I'm awake, everyone's asleep. So you talk about this concept of being present, and what's appropriate in the moment, and what does it look like to um, be just stay in a state of openness in a place where, like, who can trigger you the most and the fastest?
Mhm.
Usually the ones that are closest to you,
Yes,
unfortunately and fortunately. I don't know if it's by design or not.
it is.
And I will tell you, like, there were absolute moments where I maybe wanted to say something, and I thought, does this like improve the silence or the conversation? Or why do you want to share this right now? And then, like, if it couldn't like go through a filter, like, and I didn't do this with everything, okay, but there were absolutely times where I just let silence. And one of my favorite moments when we were there was we were in Thailand and we were on this pirate ship, which was awesome. And it was like you get to watch the sunset and go to some beaches and stuff previous in the day. And they had these like not paddle boards, the surf, the paddle boards, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So my wife and I took one out into the ocean and we watched the sunset, sitting on the ocean, just watching it in
Mm.
beautiful, incredible setting in the middle of the ocean. And I remember I thought, this moment is so perfect. I don't want to say anything. I just want to be here right now. And it's like I feel like there's a movement happening with humans right now as a species that people are kind of coming back to these like simple truths. I think about DBT. It's like they're they're incredibly powerful tools that are as simple or as complex as you make them. And there's always a level of surrender and being a student. I remember one time I wrote something and I sent it to you, and then you asked me, you said, "Did you do the exercise?" And I was like, I probably didn't do it to the level that I could have done it. And I know that you were asking me that from a place of just questioning and stuff, right? But I thought it was awesome. I thought it was awesome. I went back and I sat with it and I was like, ooh, I do have some guards on some of these emotions that I don't want to feel.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. And I think there's always layers and levels to this stuff. Um, so Sheila, as we kind of, is there anything that you've like wanted to share or talk about that maybe that you feel would like be uh insightful or something that's come up for you that you wanted to share?
I think overall, just DBT is beneficial for every human being.
Mm,
Because we are all human, we are all going to feel emotions for the rest of our lives.
yeah.
And the sooner we can learn how to regulate our emotions, question them, get curious, and know how to act on them in an effective way, our lives will be better. They'll be more it'll be more fulfilling. You'll feel more connection. You can ask for what you want and need more easily. You can tell people no. You can really live because I think a lot of us walk around without truly living. Brene Brown did a study with 750,000 different people, and she asked them what emotions they could relate to. There were three: sad, happy, and angry. And that's really sad to me that most people are walking around only identifying with those three emotions. We are meant inside of us. Each one of us has this amazing system that creates chemistry that allows us to feel emotion. And we're not truly living unless we are feeling that and identifying it. And I mean, I'm passionate about it. I love watching a movie, even though I know it's fiction because it's a movie. It's pulling me here and it's pulling me there, and I'm laughing and I'm crying and it's intense, and I love to feel. And I know that not everybody does. However, if you're human, you're going to feel the rest of your life.
Yeah,
And so we might as well learn about it and learn how to navigate our emotions.
that's right. That's right. We're down here, we're having this You know, what is the saying? We're spiritual beings having an earthly experience, right?
Something like that.
Something like that. But I mean, I think that's the beauty of your message and what you share and what you teach and what you embody is that I can know you for 4 months and I can feel like I've known you forever,
Yeah.
for a long time. So the question is if relationship and connection is not something that is associated with a time scale to it, like what are the things that transcend this human experience? And I think it's love, I think it's connection, right?
Absolutely.
I think it's purpose, I think it's meaning. I think it's, as simple as this sounds, I think it's having a good meal with friends,
Mhm.
watching a sunrise that just takes your breath away.
You know what it is?
What?
It's everything that you just said. And happiness is living in the moment. A friend made me a bracelet probably 12 years ago that says that. And
Mm,
that's been one of my favorite quotes forever is happiness is living in the moment. Because if we're stuck in the past or we're always anticipating the future,
yeah,
we are not living in the moment. All we really have is this breath, this moment. If more often we can be aware of our surroundings through our five senses, and learn how to bring ourselves to this very moment,
yeah.
our life will be so fulfilling.
So if somebody's listening to us today and they go, I need that. I need that so much in my life right now. What would be the best way for them to experience Sheila Peterson?
I have my Instagram
Okay.
is healthierhuman.fit, I believe. Uh
Well,
yes,
that's
it's
right.
healthierhuman.fit.
And
That's a way.
I can see in back of you.
Oh
That's
yes.
your
Hello, right here.
yes. I was gonna say, I think that's it.
Yes,
Yes.
that's it. So I've got healthierhuman.fit is my website, it's my Instagram. You can reach out and get a hold of me through either of those ways. And I have classes, new classes starting. I've got current classes going, and they'll wrap up in January. So I will be starting new classes the first week in January.
What if somebody, maybe doesn't live in Utah or not as close by? I know right now the classes I attended were in-person live
Mhm.
classes.
Right?
Uh, it are Do you feel like it works as much in, like, a Zoom kind of setting, or is that something you'd
Zoom
consider?
setting works, and I have
Yes.
taught some classes through Zoom.
Okay.
I personally love to feel the energy
Yeah.
of people in the room because I just love people and I love to feel their chemistry. I think most people would agree. I've had group settings where people have piped in through FaceTime if they're unable to be here in person, and they just love the energy of the groups. It's just so much fun to learn the stories we talk about, how we connect as humans, and there's a pretty quick connection in these groups because when people are ready to show up and face dealing with some of those big emotions, there's an instant connection. I mean, you loved the group that you were in, and someone asked, are the groups always like this? The groups are so diverse. And I think that's why I love this so much,
Mm.
is because you never know what kind of group is going to, the dynamics of the group and how we're all going to come together and have build new friendships.
Well, Sheila, I just wanna tell you how grateful I am for you and the impact you've had on my life and, for the time we've spent together today. I mean, this is giving people a small buffet, a taste test of just some of these skills and principles that you teach that I really believe would change anybody's life. I don't know how you could not
Definitely.
go through this course and wholeheartedly approach it, right? And not have some kind of massive awareness shift, paradigm, whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
Totally.
Thank you for giving me the chance to tell my story, letting me be the first woman to be a part of an
Yes.
evolution project, which I'm looking
Yes.
forward to some things that we're going to create together.
Yes. Yes. We're going to do
And
more.
Brian, you're an amazing human. You are truly an amazing human. I'm impressed by how you show up in life, how you connect with other people, how you create space for people to share their story and be authentic.
Mm.
You're a very thoughtful human being, and you've got a really beautiful thing going. and it's going to continue to blossom because I know very little of what you shared with me because you've mainly worked with men. However, it's beautiful work that you're doing and participating in. So thank you for letting me be a part of it.
Receive that. All right, guys. Well, this is going to conclude our episode for today, and we'll have all the links and stuff in the comment in the show notes below and stuff. So anyway, thanks everyone for joining us. Have a great day.
Thanks.